This is the Mammoth Roofing Solar Show with Scotty the Roofer.
Welcome everybody once again. This is Scotty the Roofer with Mammoth Roofing and Solar. Welcome to the show today. Today we have something that I know you guys are going to love to hear about because it can really impact you. You guys know about this Hurricane Ian in Florida. What we're going to talk about today is some of the supply chain issues and how that affects us here in Central Texas, both in pricing, availability, what the suppliers are doing and what they're thinking about in terms of their projections and how they're going to handle this situation and how it's going to affect you. Because as you know, or you may not know, when it comes to supply chain, it greatly affects. It's just like anything else. It's supply and demand. All right. And so as demand increases, which as we know is because of Hurricane Ian and some other factors involved, especially considering still the remnants of COVID and some of the challenges that had with manufacturing. We're going to talk about that today and might give you a little special here on the show today from our company, and it's Mammoth Roofing and Solar. You can find us on the web at mammothroofs.com, and the number, if you want to call us, is 210-880-6257. If you wanted to get a free inspection estimate, anything like that, we're going to get right into it today. So today, I've got a very special guest. I want to tell you about him. His name is Jack Maddan. And let me tell you a little bit about Jack. When I first opened my doors, okay, you want to talk about a scary time in my life. I was in College Station, Texas, actually. And back then, just so you know a little bit about me, and we've talked about this in another show, but I grew up in the industry with this idea that we had to go to hailstorms. So I worked for a big company. We went to different parts of the country, and we followed different hailstorms, technically storm chasers, which historically have not had a good name. They've actually had a bad name because of some of the bad guys in the industry that have caused problems for the good guys, which we were. This company I used to work for took care of people and did what they said they were going to do. And so I saw some great things about them. I also saw some things that I thought could do a little bit better. That's why Mammoth Roofing and Solar was founded. But when I was doing that, I learned how to generate business through hustle and grit and just going out there and finding the work. And so when I first opened my doors, you want to talk about a scary time, I called my old boss at the time and I said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm gonna be stepping out on my own and appreciate everything. And at that point, I opened my door, and this is in College Station, Texas, and I'm an Aggie. So I step out and I'm thinking, man, I'm at College Station. I got this ring on. I'm an Aggie. I'm going to be able to sell some roofs, no problem. Well, guess what? Everybody in that market's an Aggie. Every owner of the roofing company's an Aggie. So when I knock on the door, I say, hey, I'm an Aggie. Let me do an inspection on the roof. They're like, are you local? Where can we find you on the web? Yeah, so what didn't really work out too well. So I was scared. Luckily, not too long after that, there was a little storm that came through Huntsville, Texas, where I grew up, home of Sam Houston State University and the Texas prisons, how most people know it. In fact, the museum for where old Sparky's house is not too far from where I grew up. So I go to Huntsville, Texas. I start canvassing to try to find some work out there. We had a hailstorm, so I knew people needed help with getting their roofs replaced. And thank the Lord above. This was my hometown, so people knew me. My mother owned the flower shop, so everybody that got a mum for homecoming from 1980 to the early 90s, they got a mum through my mom's shop or the one other one in town. So it was great. So I knew a lot of people, but I was still canvassing, finding business. So here's how I met Jack. Got my signs up in a few yards. I'm starting to put some roofs on, and Jack calls on me, and he says, "Hey," he says, "who you doing business with?" At the time, I didn't have much going on. I had an account with ABC. They were limiting me on what I could do as far as my credit. And Jack said, "Let me see what I can do to help you out." And that's how it started. And I'll tell you, the service that we've got from them has been unbelievable. This guy, Jack, was on the phone with me every week. What do you need? What can I do to help you? How are we going to get delivered? Get materials delivered. Of course, it's supply chain, it's logistics. It's not always easy because you're depending on a lot of different people. But if there's ever a challenge or problem, the man took care of business. And their company, they're called Southern Shingle. They're in the Houston area as well as here in San Antonio. But SRS Building Products is what they're going by, which is kind of the head company name. But this company has always taken care of me and my company, and we've created this really symbiotic partnership that's helped us grow and help them grow as well. So I want to bring Jack on to talk about supply chain, what it means to our people here in San Antonio, and what they can maybe do in the short term to alleviate any challenges if they're thinking about getting some home remodeling or roofing. What might come up when you're thinking about that. So Jack, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, of course. So we were just talking about, I gave you, I don't know if you could hear me, but I gave you a great intro and talked about what great service you guys gave. But what I really want to focus on is most people right about now, this is October, November, we're getting into Halloween. I think there's Christmas decorations already, starting to get put up over where I live. I see them we live near the rim, so they're already putting the Christmas lights out. So people are thinking, here comes Santa Claus type deal. So they're not thinking about home improvement. And for this season in our business, as you know, it's a slow time of the year for us, slow time of the year for most roofing contractors. And so most people aren't thinking about it. Now, I want to talk to you today about some of the advantages from a supply chain standpoint of why homeowners might want to consider getting a new roof. And so I wanted to talk to you specifically about how Hurricane Ian and the supply chain, as well as pricing, can be affected when it comes to buying roofing products, specifically from the roofer to the supplier, a wholesaler like yourself.
Yeah, well, and I don't know how much you've touched on this, Scott, but obviously contractors over the last 12 to 18 months, and it's been passed on to the homeowners, have experienced a lot of price increases, Mother Nature and supply and demand all wreaking havoc with those increases. And right now we've kind of had a little bit of a pause. People been able to catch up. Obviously,
Amen. Amen. I was just waiting when the branch manager out of Ball Street, Jonathan, came to my office. I was like, oh gosh, man, if they're doing in persons, man, I know I'm in trouble. When's the price increase coming?
Right. Well, I think that, like, as you touched on, Ian's kind of an unknown thing. We don't know the impact of what it could play on supply chain issues, and that might not be known for another 60 to 90 days because they're still kind of in the weeds over there, so to speak. But this is a good time for a homeowner. Like I said, that you've seen a little bit of cooling down. Prices have kind of corrected themselves, so there is an opportunity, especially October, November, early December. Some of the best weather of the year in Texas, and it's great weather for the contractors and the roofers that are getting up on a roof.
Oh man,
they can be very efficient. So
it's brutal during the summertime, and these guys that do the work for us, I know they love to start early because it's so hot out there. But one of the things that you mentioned about the prices, I think this was last year, over the past 18 months. You said we have just. I think last year we had 4 increases by summertime, and it's the springtime. Mm-hmm. Now, why is springtime? I'm sure deductive reasoning tells me supply and demand, but tell me why specifically springtime is such a big increase when it comes to pricing on supplies for materials.
Absolutely. Well, what the manufacturers try to do is they try to get out in front of the typical what we would call our hail season, and our hail season can be as early as January and run all the way this year till August. But the peak is at March, April, May is where you can get the biggest impact when you have that temperature changing, cold, hot weather kind of coming together, fronts from the north and so on and so forth. So they try to hedge their bets and put those things out there, which gets directly passed down to distribution and on to the contractor. So,
and ultimately the homeowner, right?
Correct. It's a trickle-down effect.
Sure.
So there's an opportunity. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There's an opportunity, you said?
Well, I think there's an opportunity for homeowners for partnering up with contractors right now that are reputable, right, and taking advantage of their biggest investment, and with where the prices are right now, because there could be in the next 90 to 120 days, that increase could go back the other way.
So when I reached out to Jonathan, I said, "Hey, Jonathan, this is something that we've seen in the marketplace. Can you take a look at our pricing?" He said, "Scott, let's revisit it." And you guys have always been great taking care of me. But if I'm looking at the math on that, you're talking 25%, if I'm not mistaken, and that's something that as a contractor, we want to pass on to our customers, because it's going to, well, number one, it's going to help us get more business. I mean, let's be serious here. It's full disclosure, we're a for-profit business, but in that same sense, it's incentivizing people to do business with us now when the times are slow for us. So we say, hey, we can give you a great reduced price on the stuff that we're putting out here now, and even more importantly, let's talk about some of the overages maybe that you have in certain shingle categories that might help us be able to offer something special to our customers.
Yeah, well, and I think what you said there is spot on, Scott. I mean, Scott is a partner of SRS Distribution. You're constantly looking for value and opportunities for your homeowners, and you reached out to us recently, and we have things that maybe did not move as quickly, and not that it just is just, and we're able to come back and offer you something that you can pass on to the homeowner. So I think it's you communicating with us and seeing what we have, so you can provide options for the homeowners out there in Central Texas.
Well, and I, by the way, again, always appreciative when you guys are able to help us with pricing. Now, when it comes to the different types of shingles out there, and I definitely want to touch base on allocation. Let's not forget about that. And we have time, but I want to talk about because what I called you, I said, Jack, I said I want to be able to offer something really, really special to our customers. That want to talk to Mammoth Roofing and Solar about. Maybe getting a roof during the fall and winter time. By the way, it's 210-880-6257. If you want us to do an inspection, give you an estimate, we'll give it to you on the spot. If you need help with insurance, call us. We can't say we're insurance experts, but we deal with insurance companies a lot, and love to help you out if you've got some kind of insurance claim on that. 210-880-6257. It's mammothroofs.com. But Jack, one thing I called you about, I said, Jack, you know what would really be intriguing? What if customers didn't have to worry as much about hail? Didn't have to worry as much about wind? Didn't have to worry as much every time, they get these storms? Oh my gosh, I got to get a new roof. I got to pay my deductible. It's just a headache. There's shingles out there, all right? And they're called Class 4 shingles. Most contractors put on Class 3 shingles. These Class 4 shingles are impact and hail resistant. Okay, and they pass a test, the UIL test, for 2-inch steel ball dropped from 40 feet to make sure that the matting behind it doesn't break, which is what causes problems with shingles and why they replace these roofs all year round. Tell me what you know about the Class 4 and how that might be able to help the homeowners. Yeah,
well, I mean, so like you said, they can handle up to a 2-inch hail hit. They're made with SBS modified material, which gives it more flexibility. So that hail, 2 inches or less, is just going to essentially kind of bounce right off. It's not going to have an impact on your roof. And there is, depending on your insurance broker, there are discounts with you. Essentially there's an upgrade in cost, but you are putting something on there. So if the next storm were to come through that, let's just say it's not that significant, but the homeowner's taken a proactive measure to get with Mammoth or whomever it might be in the Central Texas area that can get with SRS and provide them Class 4 options, right? And so that shingle is something that I believe almost every insurance broker offers some kind of a discount for them upgrading their roof. You know what,
you're right. We put together this flyer for marketing purposes for our team, and it says, okay, this insurance company has indicated they give an average of 10% decrease in insurance premiums, up to 20%. I've seen 20% decrease in insurance premiums. So you're reducing your cost of your insurance. So effectively, if you're having to pay more for this Class 4 shingle, over time, let's say you save, $500, $600, $800 a year. Well, now how long is it going to take before you make up the difference in cost? And based on what you were telling me earlier, I think we can make that offer really aggressive for our customers at Mammoth Roofing and Solar. And I would encourage anyone that that is interested in getting this really protective shingle that's going to give you a discount on your premiums to reach out to your local roofing contractor and have them come give you an estimate on it. And there's different types. You mentioned the SBS modified. There's also the one that has the backing on it. There's still, the shingle's fairly new technology, so they're still trying to uncover which ones perform the best. And you mentioned 2-inch hail. And full disclosure, there's, big enough hail is going to damage any shingle. It doesn't really matter. Even stone-coated steel, metal roofs, they're going to get damaged from, if there's a certain big enough hail. But this is designed to withstand a 2-inch strike. It depends on the age and pliability, weather, a lot of different factors. But you're right. That's what they're designed for. So you've got the discount. You've got more protection. You're not having to pay that deductible again. You make that investment, and it just makes sense because over time you're going to recuperate that. And if you got a contractor that's got a great partnership with companies like SRS, wow, we can deliver that at a significantly reduced cost for our customers. So one of the things about the cooler weather, the challenge that people have mentioned is, I don't want to go put a new roof on when we're getting into colder temperatures because the shingles don't seal down. And I wanted to touch base on that because I did some research on CertainTeed. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think that ideally, you want installation of a shingle. You want to see that temperature, 40 degrees or above. So, you have sun so that the shingles can seal, right? So you have a proper installation. If you see people out there, contractors that are telling you different, and they're in December and they're trying to do a roof when it's 28 degrees outside, hey, those shingles are not going to seal, and you're going to have, potentially some defect issues. So, I think this goes back into what we've been talking about, partnering with the right people and people putting your best interest, contractors putting the homeowner's best interest, first, and not trying to rush a roof down the process, but make sure that, all the variables are optimal so that roof can be put on the right way. And like I said, the 40 degrees is kind of that Mendoza line of where you want to be.
Mendoza line. I love it.
For that proper installation.
You're right. And so, and I looked this up, and I'd known this, but I wanted to make sure I had my ducks in a row. CertainTeed, which is a shingle that we really like. They're the thickest shingle on the market, got a great reputation. You look up highest quality shingle, they're going to pop up. It's CertainTeed. But that 40 degree mark is what's recommended. And the best part about that is it doesn't really get too cold in Texas. Most of your fall and winter months are going to be above 40 degrees. And by the way, anytime that we put a roof on, we're the ones that are taking that risk because we guarantee our roofs for 50 years. So, even if there is an issue with the seal down, we're on the hook to come fix it if there's a problem anyway. So, this idea of, taking advantage of the prices, the fact that we actually got a decreased price, recently, taking advantage of the decreased price, taking advantage of the oversupply that they have right now due to a lower year as far as supply chain. But then also, it's like this little window because we've got a little bit of a surplus because of the lighter hail year that we've had. But now that stuff's going to start getting moved and shipped out to fulfill the logistics demands of some of those folks down there in Florida that are needing some of these shingles. So there's this little window in time you could take advantage of it, and definitely ask your contractor about the Class 4 impact resistant Class 4 shingle that can help you avoid these problems and issues and challenges that come with replacing a roof. By the way, if you did need a roof replaced or wanted us to take a look to see if you need any repairs, if you have a leak, and if you just want to get a general idea of where your roof's at, we put together this beautiful report and with photos and video and say, hey, this is what you got. This is how long we think it'll last. It's 210-880-6257. Mammoth Roofing and Solar. You can find us on the web at mammothroofs.com. A lot of awesome information on there. Lots of reviews, people talking about us. And you can find us on social media at Mammoth Roofs. So social media, that's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to find us. So Now, I want to touch on this too, because one of the things that I really love about SRS and why I love this strategic partnership, because as you know, a lot of contractors, Jack, they have relationships with multiple different suppliers, and they do that to kind of pit them up against each other and try to spread their eggs out in different baskets. I choose to keep this strong relationship with you guys because you take care of me on pricing. You let me know of any supply chain challenges. I know for a fact that you give the great services, the best services in the industry. Just a quick story on Jack Maddan. This guy knew that we had a challenge on getting some material on a job. He couldn't get it from a San Antonio location. Jack, by the way, lives in Houston. He's still my rep because he gives me such a great service. The man woke up early on a Sunday morning and got in his own truck, piled the shingles that I needed, supplies I needed, drove them from Houston to San Antonio and dropped them off for us out here. I mean, you talk about a great service. That's why we chose that partnership. But talk to me about when it comes to getting more stringent demand. Let's say, you've got, let's say you got 50 pallets of shingles. How do you figure out who gets the shingles when everybody wants the shingles at the same time?
Well, yeah, that's definitely something that I know that Mammoth has experienced the last 2 years with, and with the storms that have come through that area and trying to, with allocation, manufacturers divvying up, X amount of trucks, X amount of colors for, all three major distribution, outlets. But when it comes to it, I mean, one of the things that Mammoth does, they use one of our platforms called Roof Hub. And by them using one of our platforms, and this goes back to what Scott alluded to, our strategic partnership, Scott gets, as part of this partnership, Scott gets first right when, the people in his office send over the orders to Roof Hub, and that material is grabbed. But, when personally as Scott and Mammoth's rep, when I see things that, I try to be, out in front of things, and if I try to communicate with them on a daily, weekly basis on their needs. So if there is something that's coming down the pipe that we might not have, one of the things about SRS is that every branch talks to each other through interface or, branch managers to salespeople to make sure that our partners are taken care of.
Really important, by the way, because, I've noticed, Jack, that's sometimes you can't get it out of the Ball Street location. And right. You'll call us up, and next thing you know, I've got 2 trucks coming from Houston. I mean, you talk about service and really a logistics, kudos to you guys for being able to put, and of course that's your business is logistics, but man, right. I mean, just that kind of innovation and commitment to servicing your clients, because what it does, Jack, is it allows us to serve our clients better, to set expectations and deliver on those expectations. So really, really appreciate that. And that was a great explanation of how allocation worked. Thank you. So when we're, and I want to button this up here as we're kind of wrapping the show up. By the way, this is Jack Maddan with SRS Building Products, and they're known as Southern Shingle here in this area. I think you guys are kind of going away with the name to kind of conglomerate.
Yeah, we're rebranding.
Rebranding. Well, they built a lot of brand equity with me, with Southern Shingle, and I know them as SRS too, because that's what we write the checks to. But as we're buttoning this up, want to thank Jack for being on here on the show today. And if you're a roofing contractor out there and you're using suppliers, we have relationships with the other suppliers, ABC, Beacon, some of these other folks, but SRS takes care of us really well. We love them. Before we get off the phone, we got a couple more minutes, Jack. Sorry. Tell me about this two-step process. They're called 2 steps distributors. Can you touch on that and what that means to homeowners and contractors?
Yeah. So Scott's putting on the podcast today, Mammoth Roofing, Scott would be considered a top tier contractor, not only in Central Texas, but in Texas with the warranties and what he does with certainty and what he offers. And to do that, he goes through a 1-step distribution, means we buy directly from the manufacturer. A 2-step distribution is somebody that cannot buy directly from a manufacturer, so they have to go through another party to buy their materials. So therefore, there are some costs that are cut with that. And when a contractor might be going to a 2-step distribution source, they could be cutting corners in other areas to cut costs because they're not offering the same things that our top tier contractors are in Central Texas or in Texas in general. And that's why, as Scott has said before, he partners up with us. But the two-step, I would ask if any of you guys are talking to your contractors, ask where they get their shingles from, because I think that's you'll know if they're cutting corners or they're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've this has happened in the past with some things that I've seen. I mean, where you get your shingles from is important. When people start giving you prices, they don't tell you these things. SRS is never going to deliver me shingles that have been triple stacked. That means when you stack 3 pallets up on each other, because it damages the shingles. They never give me shingles that have been sitting on the lot for a year and a half, 2 years. That's what can happen. That damages the shingles. It causes problems. That's what some of these contractors do to get their pricing more aggressive, is they buy these shingles that have been sitting on the lot, triple stacked, that are damaged. And homeowners are none the wiser. And that's why we don't cut corners. We do it right by partnering with distributors. SRS specifically, because we know that they're going to give us the right product. And if there's a challenge or problem, warranty issues, stuff like that, because of logistics or supply chain challenges or issues, they take care of us. I can't tell you how many times that Certainteed and SRS have said, look, we're splitting the cost, boom, take care of your customers, we'll deliver the new shingles tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback on that, Scott, your partnership with major distribution, your partnership with your warranties with the manufacturer is key to giving that homeowner peace of mind. And if you have a distribution source that's coming to your house and hand loading materials or dropping them in your driveway, where if Mammoth's getting a roof delivered, that order is palletized, it looks pretty, it comes to your house and it's put on the left side of the driveway, so
I can vouch for that.
Roll up.
I can vouch for that. They look beautiful. Yeah. We got to wrap things up, Jack. Sorry to cut you short on that, but if you want to quote on a new roof, if you want to get a great advantage right here in the fall and winter time, to take advantage of the prices decreasing, to take advantage of getting a great deal since it's a slower time for contractors, call your contractor, your preferred contractor. Call Mammoth Roofing and Solar. We'll give you an estimate for the work. MammothRoofs.com is where you can find us on the web, and 210-880-6257 is going to be the phone number. Again, my name is Scott Edwards. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And Jack, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Scott, for having me.
You got it. All right. Thanks a bunch, guys. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time.